Action.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is supposed to be for a customer, for experience for us. That's what we're making these videos for. But I'm also going to do a dual purpose and make this for you guys on YouTube as well. What we're going to do is test the specifications of the turbo. So if you come over here, we'll see that we have our shaft. And obviously, the way the turbo works is it is driven by the exhaust fan on the bottom, and that drives through a shaft that drives the intake fan, and that helps more air get into the engine. So what we're looking at here is how much this shaft is moving inside of the turbo, and it needs to be inside of a certain specification, anywhere between 4 and 10 thousandths of an inch. Okay, and so, but the first thing we're going to check is our clearance with our with this what is this, the intake fan? What is it? So the intake fan, and if you come over here, we're going to test it. And so right here we got the let's see, what's the thinnest one we got. We can start out with like 7, right? So we're going to take 7 and we're going to try to stick it in here, and that's pretty tight. If we pull it a little bit, it's pretty tight. But it might, you need to check all the way around a little bit because it could change. So in some places it's more loose than others. Okay, so 7 is tight in some places and not in others. We can check 10 as well in these more loose places. So 10 is about as much as it is allowed to, as big as a gap that you're allowed to have for this. And this is actually different than the axial and the radial test that we're about to do, because this is where the fan is resting normally, and when you're moving this axle longitudinally like that or up and down like that, that is kind of what can happen dynamically. This is its resting state. So we test that, make sure it's within spec, and now we move on to the radial and axial portion. So the first test we're going to do is test it moving up and down. What is that? Radial or axial?
Right.
Axial is up and down. Okay, so axial would be up and down or longitudinal movement, and so we have to adjust this dial, and this is our gauge, our pressure gauge. It's going to tell us how much force is being applied when I move this shaft up and down, and so however much it moves up and down is going to tell us whether or not that's okay. Okay, so it should only be able to move a certain amount. Otherwise, the turbo has something wrong with it, something's broken, needs to be fixed. So I'm going to take my hand, put it underneath here, and we're starting out at, let's see if we can try to find a different place to start off at. Okay, so we're starting at that big line, right? We're going to push, we're going to see how much it moves. So if it's set up correctly, then it should move when I push on it. Okay, so I'm moving it from that mark, and you might not be able to see it that well, but I'm moving it from that mark. When I push, it goes past the 10, even to 15. Wow, so we've been testing this a little bit, so that's more than it has in the past. So that is, let's see what we got, 10, 20. I don't know if that's just me being really strong or what, but it's the maximum that this should be moving right now is 12, because it's what we call a dry turbo. There's no oil in it, so we subtract about 4 thousandths of an inch, and that will tell us the proper. But when I push on a relatively hard force, we're going from here to there, which is 10, and there to there, which is literally 20. So that's definitely out of spec, at least under that test. If we did more tests, we could make sure that it's out of spec. But so that is the longitudinal one, and the most that it should go is anywhere between 4 and 10 on the movement scale. And since it was 12, if you subtract, if it was 12, you subtract from 4, and it would still be in spec, okay? Because it'd be dry. So the next thing we're going to do is the what's the other one called? I always forget these things. Radial test, which is how much the shaft is moving this way instead of this way up and down through the shaft, right? So we're going to loosen this up, and this is always a pain in the butt, but we're going to try to get it right. So we kind of want to go at an angle the best we can on and touch that bolt right there, and then we're going to obviously move again like we just did, except from this angle. So tightening that. And you got to be careful with this instrument because it's very delicate. It's mechanical. So now we're pretty tight, and we're just gonna start from, well, let me see if I can change that a little. I want to be somewhere on an even number, so that way it's easier to measure. Okay, we're on the 20, okay? So we're gonna move it from the 20, we're gonna see how many thousandths of an inch it's gonna move. And so, like we said, it needs to be anywhere between 4 and 10 thousandths of an inch. Because it's dry, we have an extra 4. So if it measures at 14 and we get 14, since it's dry, technically it would be a 10 if it had oil in it, it'd be fine. So I'm gonna push, and I'm gonna try to get a lot of force in it. Oh wait, that's because of the, just gonna move with my bottom because I was kind of moving the top of this thing. Okay, so we're going from that little line to that one. So that's about 10. Okay, so that is well within spec. There's no oil in it, so if you subtracted 4, you'd definitely be lower. So yeah, that's both of these tests for the turbo. We're, like I said, checking to see if it's in spec, and it's kind of important because, as you know, this little gadget right here is spinning very fast, and if it was out of spec, it might come flying at you or something breaks and you'd have a bad day. So thank you for watching. This has been Turbo Specs.
But wait, before you go, we have this Mac dog for sale. Buy 2, get 1 free. Only $399.
$399?
So,
I don't think so. We're gonna go and get one with $15.
Just look. Subscribe to this channel. You will get a 10% discount on this dog. See there? Ladies and gentlemen, you will never see one of those again. Get it out there. Look at her. Big Mac.
Big Mac.
Oh yeah. So before you click on another channel, make sure you get that dog.
Get that damn dog. Subscribe today.
Yeah.
And like.
And like.
And comment.
And comment.
Do
All
it.
in one.
Exactly.